Hey everybody, I'm here with Tristan today, and we're going to take a question out of the file. We just take the all the questions we get, we drag one out, and then poor Tristan shows up, and we dive in and see how we do. Tristan, reintroduce yourself to the crowd if you don't mind.
Yeah, guys. So I am Tristan. I am the global director of PS for Natterbox, which is a London-based software company. Looking forward to answering questions and just firing off.
So, if you're London based, I'm sure they just love us right now. I'm
They
sure, I'm
they
sure
absolutely love
they
us.
they have nothing to say about America. It's just, hey, I don't even know why people are talking about y'all.
Every single meeting first starts off with a couple of questions, and I'll hear it, and then I'll join the call, and then the conversations immediately just
Yeah,
start.
what I find interesting, and I had a house in Europe forever for 15 years, and I go over all the time. So I have tons of friends, and they can't wait to ask me questions that there's no way I have an answer to. I mean, literally, Dean, what's going to happen with it? Are you kidding me?
How am I supposed to?
No one talks to me about important governmental issues. Come on, give me a break. All right, what we're going to take today, da 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 da, is, and I don't tell you who they came from because that's not fair to them. But it's, hey, let's discuss some of the funniest, worst, craziest meetings you've been in, I've been in, and I'll throw one out first to make it easy.
Okay.
So I was in a meeting once with a relatively young consultant, not real young, but I mean, knew their way around, but wouldn't be held accountable for everything. And we were presenting to a technology company out on the West Coast. And in the meeting, the CEO falls asleep. And so, and I'll come back to why that happened. But when we get in the elevator to leave, he goes, "Well, how did you think that went?" And I go, "Well, it's a new one for us. We've never put a CEO to sleep before, but I got to hand it to you, buddy. You really." Now, to everybody's credit, the guy had just flown overnight from Hong Kong
Okay.
and came right to the meeting.
Yep.
And we shouldn't have. He was trying to be polite, but he just couldn't hang out through an all morning workout of a bunch of information. It was a very heavy lifting meeting, but yeah. So we put a CEO to sleep. Needless to say, it's still not a client.
Okay.
Okay, that one moved on because I think forever we were like, are those the guys that put me to sleep? Are they?
It's funny because when I was looking at venues, I'm going to answer the question here in a second. Me and my now wife, we were looking at wedding venues touring. We brought my mom with us, and in the middle of the on-site coordinator kind of talking involving pricing and everything, my mom started snoring at the table because she was so.
There you go. There you go.
Um, no, I
Well,
have a.
that's because you took her overseas, right?
Oh, she was just exhausted, and she's
Yeah,
next to me, and you're.
yeah.
Mom, wake up. But no. So I have a couple. The first one worked with a client who so we were doing a project for him. I worked with the client whose company does diamond blades. So right, so construction diamond blades, and just like a guy's guy would like to kind of break the script in terms of meetings, and then it would just divert it. But one of them, we have his whole team on, and we're leading a training, and I have my engineers on. In the middle of, I'd say about halfway through, he just stops the meeting and he goes, "Tristan, you remind me of this guy." And he starts screen sharing, and then all of a sudden he goes to his Facebook, diverts the entire meeting, and we get on an entire Facebook personalized discussion about how I remind him of his like friends. So it was funny. There was all these stories, but it's completely diverted.
It had nothing to do with why we all came here to the meeting.
Like
Yeah,
had to
and he was clueless, right? He was completely clueless.
you just had to steer it, and our company's policy is, it's record the meetings, use for a reference point. But with this client, I was continuously, after a meeting's done, I would have to go in and try to find the recording, delete it.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to see. No, that reminded me of a big company, like a Fortune 100 company. We had helped them find a head of strategy, and that person had come out of one of the big consulting firms. And which to me made perfect sense because we do great with consultants. I was a partner, and so anyway, after a couple of months, she was just not integrating well with our team at all. And I went to see her just to see what was up, and she goes, "Oh, I you remind me of my ex boss who I hate with everything in me because he was also a Texan." And I was like, I'm a well-read, educated guy, but I don't really know what to do about this.
Yeah.
And she continued to feel that way. But the funny thing was, it was a meeting where, and you know me, I've been through a lot. I just didn't have anything to say. I go, well, I kind of get that. Yeah, I'm a Texan. I'm outgoing like your ex-boss, and you hated him. And how long did you work for him? 12 years of the worst days of your life. You have nightmares. She went on and on and on, and it had nothing to like yours. It had nothing to do with me. But we were not going to be successful doing the transformation with her as the lead on the internal side.
Yeah, and you're right. The point that you made where you kind of get kind of floored at some points where you don't know how to steer the conversation after that, it like makes it challenging. I had just two other quick ones. I had one, it was a client. So it's a method that I almost take the first couple of weeks of engagements to kind of feel what the personalities are like. Now, I always have a sense because I'll be stuck in early on from that scoping process. So I know some stakeholders, but you don't really know the sentiment. But this like client, they are a Fortune 5, and really found out that a lot of that court team likes some Nickelback or Creed type like music, or maybe it was like just me. So whenever any meeting started, I made it a priority to get there 5 minutes early. I would have Nickelback playing as like the intro music, and
Oh,
it
that's wonderful.
made for an awesome engagement. The relationships that we formed and still have, and actually that client is now on our like CAB, so our customer advisory board. But it just helped to facilitate and drive it, and the sentiment was just so positive throughout.
Yeah, there you go. There's a story of using understanding to make meetings better.
Yep. And the other one, the last one that I will say is always be careful about what screen you are sharing. And I know that too many people have
Oh my.
always had this, and this is not so much as a funny one, but more of a hiccup, right? So this was years and years ago. We had a client that was perpetually late. And you're talking about 10 minutes or like 15 minutes to every meeting. And there was never kind of an apology behind it. And we get on this like call, and I thought I was sharing one screen, but I'm sharing my Slack screen, and I'm messaging our like engineer on, if this client is like always like a late, and I'm like kind of rambling on, and I end up noticing that I'm sharing my screen and the like CEO is on there, directors, and like the like VP
Oh my God.
at it, and just stopped sharing, and I go, you know what? It couldn't have been on screen as long as I thought it was. So I go back and watch the recording, and it was like up there for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh my gosh! So always
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes, hey, it's okay to feel things, even say them, but
Yeah.
we gotta treating humans always with. So I'll leave with one myself, and boy, it's always great to spend time together. But
Always.
I was, and this is a really funny one. I was done with a big presentation and with a big company, and a woman raises her hand, and I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, and now remember, my last name's McMahon. The firm I built was McMahon and Ransford. She goes, are you related to Mr. McMahon? And I go, oh no, that's just a coincidence. He's been dead a long time. And everybody in my firm looks at me like, why in the world did you say that? Well, it wasn't my account. I didn't want them calling me.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, great seeing you. Had a lot of fun. We'll do this again.
Yeah.
And take care, and keep the newlywed action going, and keep those anniversaries flowing.
Will do.